Something entered our solar system quietly, without a signal, without a flare, and without the slightest hint that anything had changed. It arrived like a whisper carried on the cosmic wind, a thin scratch of light drifting across the starfield. For days, astronomers thought it was an error in their instruments. For weeks, NASA said nothing. No press releases, no late-night conferences, not even a hint that something unusual had been detected. But behind the silence, something else was happening. Something that would shake every assumption we have about interstellar visitors. Observatories around the world watched the object drift inward from the deep night beyond Neptune. Its trajectory was too precise, too stable, too perfectly aligned to be a random rock tumbling through space. And slowly, a quiet realization began spreading through the scientific world. This object was not behaving like a comet. It was not behaving like an asteroid. And it was not behaving like anything humanity had ever tracked. The first sign that something was wrong came when the object refused to glow. Even under intense sunlight, its surface reflected almost nothing, as if it were coated in material that absorbed the sun's rays. Comets are supposed to grow bright as they approach the inner solar system. This one remained as dark as a dead star. That was the moment when astronomers began to worry. Not because it was impossible, but because nature doesn't hide. Nature doesn't cover its identity. Nature doesn't travel through the void like a ghost wrapped in shadow. NASA finally released a short technical note. The object was officially designated 3I Atlas, the third confirmed interstellar object to enter our solar system. But the note was missing crucial details. It said nothing about the strange angle of approach, nothing about the missing comet tail, nothing about the unusual way it moved, smooth, steady, almost intentional. And while the public accepted the explanation, those quietly monitoring the object knew something was being held back. Telescopes detected subtle bursts of energy near the object, tiny flashes so faint most sensors almost ignored them. These flashes were not random. They appeared at intervals. They appeared in rhythm. And then came the most unsettling discovery. The flashes were directional, pointed not at the sun or any planet, but toward empty space. A consistent, repeating signal aimed at nothing we could detect. Astronomers debated whether it was a natural phenomenon, some sort of internal stress or frozen gas escaping through cracks. But the timing was too regular, the spacing too clean, the pattern too controlled. Something inside the object was releasing energy with precision. As the object moved closer, the James Webb Space Telescope locked onto it. The image Webb returned shocked the research teams. Beneath the darkness of its surface, something glowed from within. A faint, pulsing radiance traced along its structure like veins of light inside a living creature. For a moment, the room fell silent. The object was not uniform. It was not a simple rock. It had layers, compartments, fractures arranged almost like design. And some of those fractures were glowing. Then, the object did something no natural body is expected to do. It changed direction. Not by much, just a gentle correction, a slight sideways drift. But natural objects cannot shift course without an external force. Comets don't decide to tilt themselves. Asteroids don't maneuver. And yet 3I Atlas altered its path with a smoothness that felt intentional. NASA tried to attribute the movement to outgassing, but there was no tail, no vapor, no jets of material escaping from its body. Nothing that could have produced the shift. Something inside it had fired. As weeks passed, the object's slow inward drift brought it near the orbit of Mars. Multiple observatories captured high-resolution images, and that was when the most disturbing detail emerged. The glow inside the object was not constant anymore. It was accelerating. Each pulse grew brighter, stronger, more structured. almost like a heartbeat awakening after a long sleep. And as the pulses strengthened, its speed increased, not dramatically, but enough to show deliberate momentum. Whatever the object was, it was not dead. The first attempt to scan beneath its surface with deep penetrating radar returned impossible results. The signal did not bounce back normally. Instead, it scattered inside, refracting like light passing through a crystalline maze. The interior was not solid. It was hollow, fragmented into chambers too symmetrical to be natural. Scientists could not help but wonder, had something built these chambers? Or was this object the remains of something ancient? An artifact drifting between star systems, carrying secrets older than our sun? News leaked. That is how the world learned that NASA had observed the object for 6 weeks before announcing anything. That is how people discovered that multiple space agencies were quietly coordinating tracking data. And that is how rumors began to spread. Was 3I Atlas some kind of probe? A derelict vessel? A message from a civilization that had vanished long before humanity evolved? Every possibility was terrifying in its own way. Then something happened that no one expected. The object passed through a region of space containing ancient dust, the remnants of a long-dead comet. When the grains of dust hit the object, they behaved strangely. Instead of bouncing off or vaporizing, the particles curved around it. They flowed along its surface like they were following invisible magnetic pathways. The object wasn't just moving, it was generating a field designed to protect itself. This was the moment when astronomers around the world realized something profound. This object had traveled through interstellar space for who knows how long. It had crossed radiation storms, dust clouds, gravitational vortices, and yet its structure remained intact. Something was preserving it. Something was sustaining it. Something was maintaining it. And that something was still active. What came next was even more unsettling. As the object approached the orbit of Earth, the internal glow shifted from purple to blue. The pulses became faster, smoother, more stable. Instruments detected a low-frequency hum, a vibration in space itself. It wasn't sound, but the signature of oscillating particles. And that signature matched nothing known in physics. The hum began resonating with Earth's magnetic field. Not enough to cause any disturbance, but enough for sensors to identify a pattern. This was not random energy. It was structured, layered, ordered. Scientists compared it to harmonic waves, like chords played on a cosmic instrument. The universe itself seemed to vibrate in response. Then came the first clear image, an observation from a deep space survey telescope. The image revealed a feature no one had seen before. On one side of the object, something resembling an aperture had begun to open. Thin cracks spread outward like petals unfolding around a central core of light. The material did not break, it rearranged itself, shifting seamlessly. This was not rock, this was not ice. This was material engineered to move. The opening grew wider, the glow intensified. And then, just as suddenly, it closed again, sealing the radiance inside. For a moment, the world held its breath. What had it been doing? Scanning, listening, charging, or preparing? NASA released no comment. European astronomers refused interviews. Independent observatories were asked to temporarily restrict raw data. Something was happening that none of the agencies were prepared to explain. The object drifted past Earth without incident, silent and dark once more. But its course correction grew sharper. It was heading directly toward Jupiter. A trajectory too perfect to be accidental, too specific to be natural. The giant planet's immense gravitational field seemed to be its target. Jupiter, our solar system's guardian, the shield that swallows comets and asteroids, now had a visitor that did not belong. and as the object approached, Jupiter's magnetosphere began reacting. Waves of charged particles bent in unnatural arcs around the incoming body. The object was interacting with Jupiter's field intentionally, aligning itself as if preparing for something. Then, at the exact moment it entered the magnetosphere, the pulses stopped. Everything went quiet. The glow faded. The hum ceased. The energy signatures vanished. It became a cold, dead object once more. But sensors still detected one last thing: a faint stream of particles trailing behind it like the remnants of exhausted fuel. Not chemical fuel, not nuclear fuel, something entirely unknown. The object descended toward Jupiter's outer layers until it disappeared from sight, swallowed by the clouds. No explosion, no flash, no debris, just gone. NASA said it burned up. Some scientists believed it entered a stable orbit inside the atmosphere. Others suspected it was still active, now hidden beneath Jupiter's storms, shielded from our instruments by a planet large enough to hide 1,000 mysteries. But a few researchers, those who had monitored every pulse, every shift, every impossible detail, believed something far more unsettling. They believed the object didn't come to visit us. They believed it came to wake something up. And now, months later, a new anomaly has appeared near the edge of Jupiter's magnetosphere. A pulse, a rhythm, a signature almost identical to the one emitted by 3I Atlas. It is faint but growing, slow but strengthening, as if something deep beneath Jupiter's clouds has started to breathe, as if something ancient has begun to stir, as if the arrival of 3I Atlas was not the end of the story, but the beginning of a countdown we were never meant to hear.